when I committed to doing that amount of chemo, I did 16 rounds, 4 different drugs. I did, like, I would meditate through the chemo, and I would be like, I would picture like the chemo going in like this little army, like just attacking the cells. And it's how I explained it to my kids. You know, I'm like, the chemo's gonna go in and it's gonna like hunt down and find all the bad cells, and they're gonna battle it out, and then I'm gonna come out healthy again, and my healthy cells are gonna win, and they're gonna be strong, and they're gonna come back, and I'm gonna be okay. And so when the results came, every single cell in my body had reacted. It was like the tumors were never even there, like just gone.
Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Hello. Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss. Today we have Mo Howerton. She's the most amazing woman ever. And even just in the little quick time we were talking before we went live, it's just like, I'm enamored already. Like, oh my God, I can't even tell you. Anyway, I'm so excited for you guys to have her today. So I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. So will you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Maura Victoria Howerton, and I am a full-time mom of 2, single mom of 2. I am active duty Air Force. I'm the superintendent of cybersecurity and information technology. I know it sounds super fancy. I'm just a nerd at heart. And I also do public speaking and resiliency training.
That's amazing. And you said cancer and domestic
abuse. Yes, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am a breast cancer and domestic abuse survivor as well.
Yeah. Okay, like that's how I feel. Like it's just like mic drop. Thank you for your service and being, and we say no more. You're an amazing human being and woman, so thank you for that. Yes, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Thanks for reminding me about that.
Absolutely.
And a couple weeks ago, I'm so happy that you saw it. We interviewed Johanna White about her healing herself through her mind and surrender and taking action. And yeah, I just felt inspired to also ask you. We actually met you at the same retreats and weekends as we met Johanna. Yeah. And like, wow, incredible women just like healing themselves with these stories of spontaneous remissions or whatever. Yeah. It's just so inspiring. And obviously here at Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, we're all about the power of the mind, right? Mind over matter. And I remember just hearing little snippets at the retreat of what you were saying that you were doing, like communicating with your cells and like all this amazing stuff. Yeah. So excited to hear that story. Yeah. And maybe we'll just dive right into it. So yeah. What is your story in that regard?
So 7 years ago, 2015, I was married. I just moved kind of to the DC area. I was doing shift work. I mean, my whole life, if I look at it now, and we'll get back to that, it has done like a 180. It's so crazy. And it's going to be so fun to kind of share that transformation. But I was just feeling really tired. And I had been someone who I've been an athlete my whole life. I'm active duty Air Force. I ate organic before it was cool, like gym rat, certified personal trainer, just loved the physicality and being super strong and an athlete and in my body. I mean, I personal trained all through both pregnancies. Like I love being fit. And I just started feeling really wore down, just like heaviness and tired. And I remember I was at the gym, I was at a body pump class. And I bought a breast cancer awareness shirt only because it was black and I sweat a lot. Like I would love to say I was some big advocate, but I was 31 years old, just turned 31, super young. And this woman came up to me middle like of set. So body pump is like a heavy, intense lifting class where you like have a bar and you're changing. And she came up and tapped me on the shoulder and she's like, I love your shirt. I'm a survivor. And like the music is pumping and I could see this look on her face, which now I recognize that look. Like she was wanting me to be like, oh, me too, or my mom, or like she was looking for that connection. And I didn't have anything to say. And she hugged me. And she was like, I couldn't let you leave. I had to tell you that, you know, I love young women advocating because once I became a survivor, I didn't realize how many young women get it. And then hugged me again. And she was an older woman, I'd say maybe in her late 50s, I don't know, 60s. And to be a 30-year-old woman and have someone say that. And it was this like weird moment where then she left. And I was lifting and, you know, in the gym, there's a mirror right in front of you. I'm like lifting and looking in the mirror and I'm like, it just felt very like intense. And then I went and took a shower and I found my lump. And I tell everyone that she was like the guardian angel. Right. I mean, crazy, right? Some people are like super nuts. They're like, that was your future self, like saving you. Like it was because that was my gym forever. And I like have completely gone back and like asked for her. I looked for her. We did a breast cancer like event there to try and like, no one knew her, recognized her, couldn't tell me who she was. She was like in and out of my life. This little angel like tapped me on the shoulder. And so I found the lump. Isn't that, I know.
And so you like went and checked yourself because of that, like that whole experience made.
I went in the gym shower. I took my shower and everyone says, do your self-exam in the shower. And so I did a self-exam and found a lump that day. I mean, I still get goosebumps. Like it's so crazy. Wow. And in my mind, it was one of those things where I'm like, this can't be real. You know, like it was too coincidental.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. So I went home and my husband at the time, I was like, do you feel this? Because I like thought maybe I'm imagining this. Like, do you feel this? He's like, yeah, I do. And this is where like the advocacy part really started to kick in because I called the very next day and they, you know, again, no family history. I was super healthy. It was right along my bra line and I had larger breasts. So I wore underwire bras. And so when I called, they were like, you know, no family history. They set my appointment for 2.5 months out. Like that was the earliest they could see me. And I was like, okay, what if there's a cancellation? And they were like, you can call every day and we'll see, or we can put you on the list. I was like, okay, there's a cancellation the next day.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I got in the office the next day. It was my OB office. And they told me I was way too young for mammogram. My insurance would never cover that. And the doctor felt it. She's like, oh, it's a cyst. And again, that like in the back of my mind, I was like, how do you know for sure? Mm-hmm. And she kept being like, oh, the placement. I'm like, yeah, but isn't there something that'll say for sure? And finally, after pushing and pushing and pushing, she was like, okay, if you want to stay, we can see like if there's a sonogram open where they just like use the ultrasound machine. I was like, okay. So I bunkered down for the day. I called into work. I'm like, I'm out for the day. I waited, I want to say like 4.5 hours. And I got in there and I knew right away by the look on the tech's face that it was not just a cyst. She started clicking and measuring, and then there was a second lump. So it had already spread locally. And then she went and got the doctor. And the doctor, I think, forgot his bedside manner a little bit because he had me sit up and he essentially scanned from head to toe searching for symptoms. Because like, have you had headache, bone pain, loss of vision, sort like shortness of breath, like, you know, all the places that the cancer.
Oh my God, it gives me the chills.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't even said anything to you yet, but asking those questions that are clearly
he already knows. Like I didn't even need a biopsy at that point. Like I could tell by like his urgency that he was already just so scared and just scanning my body. Like, how quickly do I need to act? So I was in there the very next morning for a biopsy. 2 days later, it was confirmed that it was breast cancer. I was told to find a breast surgeon because that's who you see first. Not everyone needs it. You know, further, like you start with the breast surgeon. So I got the breast surgeon, and within another 2 days, I was on a call with the kind of the nurse that kind of sees you through everything. And I mean, being asked questions like, how do you feel about your fertility? I'm like, well, why? And they're like, because if you do chemo, you probably won't be able to keep your fertility. And I mean, just like things, it had been like 5 days since I like had seen the doctor, and I'm being asked these like super big, intense questions.
Yeah, life
Um,
altering scenario questions fast. Oh my God,
yeah,
that's a lot.
very quick coming at me. And so I saw my doctor and I started going through all these scans. And this is where the power of the mind, I hindsight, like I didn't realize it at the time, but who I had already been in my life, probably through my mom credits a lot of the military training, like for the resilience. But then just also, I've always been a very joyful, happy, see the bright side of things and resilient, like cup half full, take it in for what it is, live in the moment, don't let fear overtake you. So they obviously they did all these scans to see if it had spread. And it's funny because I stayed off the internet, and I don't know if that was just like insight, like intuition. But the type of breast cancer that I have, and this is my little breast cancer awareness plug, not a lot of people know like all the nitty gritty of it. But with advances, they test the cancer for 3 receptors: estrogen, progesterone, and HER2. And those are 3 things that can feed or essentially fuel the cancer within the body. And you can be positive or negative for each one. So some people are like double positive or 1 positive or triple positive. Very rarely there's triple negative, and they don't know why it's there. It's not fed by those 3. They're still researching what's fueling that. But it tends to be the most aggressive, highest rate of reoccurrence. And my life expectation past 5 years was about less than 10%, even though I caught it in early stage, just because the rate of reoccurrence is really high.
Because
And
you
then
had the triple negative.
yeah.
Wow.
So I was triple negative. So they don't know why it's there. It's just super aggressive, and there's no targeted treatment to date. Again, advances are being made all the time, but so if you're fed by estrogen, obviously you can do things to block that estrogen, and it keeps the cancer away. With this, because they don't know it's there, they don't know how to attack it.
Wow.
So yeah. And it tends to spread to the brain, liver, lungs, and bones, like very quickly. So things that you need very quick, right?
Oh my God.
Those
of you listening just audio, my face is just like,
yeah,
what?
it's
insane.
a lot.
Yeah.
So they did scans, and again, I stayed off the internet because just reading the little bit was terrifying. And I had 2 small babies. They were 3 and like 18 months. And so my biggest concern was them, to be honest with you. I asked the doctor, what do I do with my kids? And she gave me some of the best life advice. She was like, don't take this from them. She's like, I know you want to like put them in a bubble and protect them. But this will end up being part of their story too. And you don't know what you're instilling in them. And then she made me like weep. She was like, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 6 years old. And she's one of the top breast surgeons in the world. She has letters from like Angelina Jolie on her wall, and like for her research and stuff.
God.
It was just such a really, that was one thing that like going into it, I was like, okay, I get that. Like that resonated so strong with me. Because she was able to show me a different perspective of what it would be. And so anyhow, during the scans, I wanted to mention the power of thought. I was going into these scans that when I went in, it was so funny. Like one of them, again, the like role of like breast cancer, no one told me what this would be. And I was wearing like a thong because that's what I wear. So I'm in a thong, and then they put your breast in this like these 2 holes, and they're dangling towards the floor, and my hands are up in the air. So I'm laying like, and I just kept hearing different songs in my head And I was giggling, like it was so comical to me, like that I was laying like booty up on this table. Like I was giggling to myself. But it's so ironic because then when I went home, my sister called me and she was crying. She's like, I read on the internet that it feels like a coffin and it's terrifying and it's claustrophobic. And it was so, I was like, you know what, Kathy? I was like, I was in there giggling the whole time because I didn't have any of those thoughts in my mind. There was no preconceived notion. There was no instilled fear already heading into it. I went in just as Mo on a normal day, thinking I could keep my pants on. And the doctor's like, nope, you got to take them off. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be fun, you know? And then, so I allowed the life experience to come to me instead of letting someone else's negative thoughts already give me some kind of preconceived fear or notion or insight. So I thought that
inspiring.
was really cool.
Just like going in, like, just like an adventure, like just in the moment, you know, second by second. Let's see. Yep. Roll with it. Just, it is what it is.
This is what's going to be dealt to me. And I'm just going to take it. I'm going to allow this experience to be mine and only mine. This is going to be Mo's experience and no one's going to change it. No one's going to put thoughts in my head of how it's going to be. And it got so strong that at one point the chemo, so I did do chemo. It was a very intense chemo regimen, even though I was only stage 2, but with the triple negative, the best outcome is doing a lot of chemo. And essentially the way that it is explained is like, you're essentially just like wiping out your body, like all the cells, even the healthy ones, in hopes to try and kill the cancerous cells because of the rate and the rate that tends to spread to all those vital organs. But that's again where the thought, every time when I committed to doing that amount of chemo, I did 16 rounds, 4 different drugs. I did, like, I would meditate through the chemo and I would be like, I would picture like the chemo going in like this little army, like just attacking the cells. And it's how I explained it to my kids, you know, I'm like, the chemo's going to go in and it's going to like hunt down and find all the bad cells and they're going to battle it out. And then I'm going to come out healthy again. And my healthy cells are going to win and they're going to be strong and they're going to come back and I'm going to be okay. And
yes.
At one point I told my doctor to only print what I said, print. Like every time I started a new drug, a new chemo, I said, can you print? Because I want to stay off the internet. I want to stay away from what other people are going to say my side effects are going to be, what other people are going to say it's going to affect me. I don't want to hear any of that. I want just the scientific, what it is, and that's all I need to know. My side effects are going to be my side effects, and that's it. And I'll tell you what, I didn't have any of the side effects that most people have. I mean, I lost my hair and I went through chemo-induced menopause. I researched how to save my fertility and my doctor agreed to it. And so she forced menopause to like hush my ovaries, which science is so cool.
Wow.
I know. But and again, similar to Johanna, I think the identity thing was really, really big because I had always seen myself as this like strong, powerful person. And so there was one point where I covered up my mirrors because I didn't want to see myself bald and weak and muscle atrophy. And so that reflection, the power of the mind, I'm like, no, like every morning I'm going to wake up and I'm still me, like I'm still strong, I'm still powerful, I'm still okay. And my movement just changed. I had really great friends that made me walk with them every day. I fell in love with yoga, which is, it's really cool parallel. Yoga and me became great friends, which I never thought. Again, I was someone who would do like kickboxing and spin and hit and all these high intense, and yoga became like this incredible safe space to still allow movement and honor my body in that way and walking. And there were some days my friend, she walked with me every day. She would show up. She's like, even if you can just go down the block, we're just mentally going to check that block that you moved today. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. But yeah, so the power of the mind, it was incredible when so most people do chemo after their surgery with breast cancer because they want the cancer out right away. With mine, they do neoadjuvant where they do the chemo first because they want to see how it takes. Because if it doesn't, they may try subsequent different chemotherapies. Again, it's all still very trial and there's no clinically proven treatments. And so they left the port, or I asked with my surgery, because I have my little port, and even that, like I named my port Bessie, and I like said that she was like the best little worker ever. She was great to me.
That's awesome.
And so when my surgery came, I asked, or they asked if the port was coming out. I'm like, this port's coming out. Like chemo's done its job. It's good to go. And they're like, well, we'll find out. And so when the results came, my tumor, even like a lot of times women have to do radiation after, because even after removing the cancer, there's precancerous cells that are around that tumor that have been affected that they want to make sure are dead and they can get rid of. Every single cell in my body have reacted. They said even the stage 0, which does not typically ever have a reaction to chemo, was 100% gone. Like there was nothing. She's like, I've never seen like 100, like both tumors are completely gone. And they call them like the margins, like the lines around. She's like, you didn't even have margins. Like you had no precancer cells. It was like the tumors were never even there, like just gone.
Oh my God. That's insane.
I know.
Oh my
really
God.
cool. So like best case scenario, yeah, it was awesome. Great result.
The most awesome part about it is just you. Like what? Just your whole mentality being that positive and that upbeat. It's like literally like we just had fun with Mo. Like this was another Mo adventure is what you just took us on. So, okay, the story is great and adventurous, positive, fun Mo. Like how did you have hard days during that? Like,
oh, absolutely. So that's so that is how I approached the cancer. Now, the flip side, the mindset, the nitty gritty, what I have realized, and it's gonna make me cry, is that I had cancer throughout my whole life. My job, my relationship, my thoughts I have feeding myself, like I had transformed into someone that I didn't recognize, really. I mean, I knew that to heal the outer, which all of a sudden I reflected outwardly as a sick person, and it's so crazy, but on the inside, I had been sick for a really long time. My mind, my thoughts, my relationships, I had deteriorated into something I didn't even recognize anymore. And so I knew I had to kind of win and heal that inner to truly gain back and win and heal the outer game again. So I had to like do a gut job from the inside out. Like I don't have the same job anymore. I got a divorce. Like it shook my to the core of how much I couldn't stay in that relationship anymore. And because he's a father of my children, I'm not going to speak ill will, but it was a very toxic environment from the ground up. You know what I mean? Like the cancer was like the tip of the iceberg, and underneath was this underlying just so much toxicity and stuff that needed healed and worked on and changed and drastically. Or not even an iceberg, like if it's the tree of life, like my roots had just rotted. Like there was a lot that needed fix.
Wow.
And so I went to work every day. I mean, I would stay up at night, I have pages of journals filled of like, if and when I survive, my life will look like. And I started like speaking this new life into existence. Like me and the kids have this beautiful remodeled home. Me and the kids go on these vacations, like all of these things that I knew like one day this will be it. Like I will no longer be in that type of work. I will no longer accept this. Like I started again, stepping into how I knew my life would be. I just had to put on these horse blinders and get through this diagnosis. And it's weird because people have those cliche sayings, you know, like the storm didn't come to like destroy you, it came to clear the path and like all these things. And like, that was my life. Like, I just And once I saw the storm for what it was, that's when I started to like dance in the rain. I was like, all right, it's here to like help me. Like it is here to change me from the inside out. And I just have to go through it and push through. And I mean, there were grueling days, grueling nights where that mental battle. And I remember it was rough. Like, you know, I think if you saw Mo, you saw me with like 5 different books, and I had just books like over and over and over, like Positivity, the Codependent No More journal book. I mean, I've worn the cover off of that thing. And similar, you know, I would listen to meditations at night, scriptures at night, just on repeat. And again, that hypnosis, like what you talk about, it's crazy how I had to subconsciously change that blueprint that I had stepped into. I was living this life that wasn't working and it wasn't me. But how do you fix that? How do you change that? One little thought at a time, right? One thought at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time. But I had to change the way I thought and how I viewed myself. And it was crazy.
Wow. Because would you say like it was those previous thoughts that led you to having the life that wasn't yours?
Yep.
That you know, essentially led to probably the cancer emerging in your body or whatever.
The stress.
Wow.
Absolutely.
The stress. Yeah. I've heard so many stories of people who same thing, like the cancer was like this wake up call to like, I am not living my life in alignment at all. The other thing I'm curious about, because you said that, and it's amazing, like you're a glass half full kind of gal and optimistic or whatever. And something I've learned, you know, in being someone who like, you know, I can keep my state high and all the different things, but underneath the surface, there's the dark, there's the anger, there's the sadness, there's that like I didn't even know existed.
Right.
And it was like, actually, the people who usually end up with, you know, the things are the ones that are so positive that aren't actually like. So was that, do you see that? Okay.
I think my natural state is very positive and very strong.
Of course.
However,
yes.
I think as life started to throw things at me, I think my resiliency threshold, I just kept moving that bar. Like, oh no, it's not really there. Let's just push it here. Oh no, I don't need to deal with that. I'm just going to push it here. I'm going to stay resilient. I'm going to stay happy. I'm going to stay smiley. And I never dug into the toolbox to be like, wait, hold on, stop 1 second. And I was a people pleaser and I was a boundary pusher and I would let people just bulldoze right over me in the sake of like putting on that happy face instead of, you know, staying resilient and happy and positive because I have strong boundaries and because I'm living in alignment and because so it was some grueling work to like dig through all that muck to return to who I am in this new like 2.0 version. Like, oh no, I am this happy, but man, I've done some work. Like
100%. Like now I can be really happy. Right. Before I was like playing the game to be happy. Now, because I did the work, like I can actually be happy.
Absolutely. And I know the difference. And now I have like that testimony of like, oh no, I have seen the real, like I have felt and endured like what pain truly is and can be, to know that the good days are just good days. Like just the bad, anyone who's like, oh man, you're so tough and you've lived through so much. And I just want to look them in the eyes and like hug them and be like, just live a little bit longer. Like we're all going to have pain and swords, or you just haven't like faced yours yet. Like yours is in there.
Yep.
Find the right coach and they will pull it out, right?
Yeah, that's right. Start feeling those feelings and hearing what the thoughts are actually saying underneath the surface, right? And sometimes you don't know. And what it's showing, where it's coming out is with food or addictions or relationships or the thing that we're all like seeking outside to get, you know, the answers. But it's like, this is the work that's going to get you the answer. You know what I mean? Everything that you want.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like sabotaging yourself into these like fear-based things. And it's funny because all of a sudden you have to like accept that all of your excuses and all of that weirdness, that's lies. Like, where's
Yes.
the truth? Like, let's dig down deep and find out what the root of what that is. And that's where, man, some magic really starts to happen.
Oh my God. Yes. You did the freaking awesome work at that retreat. You and Johanna both. It was like these girls, so interesting, right? Because you both like obviously like in the fitness and like the strength and the physicality you're talking about and like the like being high performers.
Performer. Yeah.
Yeah, like so interesting. So, and then when you were making all these life shifts, did you wait? You obviously were visioning about what you were going to do after you beat this thing. What, were you doing it during? Were you making the life changes while you were going through it, or you waited till after?
No, while I was going through it, and I tell everyone, it was like that analogy of like on the plane where they're like, when the plane is crashing, like put your life mask on before you save anyone else. Like I knew at that moment my plane was crashing. Like it was literally just about like putting that oxygen mask on and like pushing through. And so I did. I mean, divorce came up while I was so I was facing the diagnosis, treatment, surgeries, while essentially saying, look, this marriage is done. Like we will not, like my mind was made up on that. So that was kind of a two-headed battle that I started right away. And I think it was my testimony to living in alignment, like immediately. Like that was step one, was like, I need out of this relationship. Like this is not working for me and my family.
Yeah.
And so
which is probably huge. That was probably the most significant part. I mean, closest relationship is like everything. So the fact that you even made that pivot during it is big.
Absolutely.
I would think.
Yeah, it was huge. And I think it was just for me to like claim that. And I think even in my mind, I was like, however this turns out, I lived in alignment up until like the bitter end. Like I was finally staying true to who I was and living in my truth. And
in whatever way you could at that time.
Yeah, like controlling the pieces that I could at that time. And I stopped going to work. Again, I think those angels get placed, but with the military, it's an automatic disqualifying factor, which means I automatically had to go in front of this board to get kicked out, which it's crazy how much you want something when someone says you can no longer have it. I was like, oh no, it's not me, it's you. Like, I will end this relationship. You can't no way. Excuse
You're not kicking me out. I'll leave. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And so I, the doctor that I went to see, he stopped. He said, there's someone else I want you to see. And I had to wait. Again, I waited and waited and waited. And the new doctor that walked in had this, which again, now I know, she had the little like fresh bird hair sprouting up, like curly hair. I just thought it was like this cute pixie cut, but now I recognize it as like that little post chemo little bird, like feathery cute hair. But she looked at me and she said, did anyone tell you you have to be here? I said, what do you mean? She said, with your diagnosis, go home and be with your children. Because she had seen my chart. And she was like, you are not going to want to waste one day. Go home and be with your baby. She's like, the military will be here for you when you want it. She said, with your diagnosis, go home. And I don't know why. Again, she was like an angel. I just listened. I went, okay. So I took what they call bad years, like where I just stepped away from the work, from the uniform, and I just put the horse blinders on and took care of me and started clearing out the muck. Now the dream stuff, I got, Brooke, I started working with Brooke, and I mean, my vision board, it's crazy. I was on that Zoom call with a lot of the girls from the retreat, and they were like, Mo, your house is so pretty. Like, because my kitchen's all done. They're like, it's so like whimsical and white and cute. And I was like, guys, that was on my vision board for like 3 years, was like redoing the home, and now I'm living in it. Like this is
oh my God, I love that. Every single year my vision board comes true, like every single thing on it, every time. It's the most amazing fun thing.
It's so fun to like look back. I'm like, oh my gosh, I take this for granted now, but this was a vision board moment for me. And so that
congratulations,
so incredible.
Yes. Yep, we all have that North Star. It's just whether we're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
And doing different exercises like that can just make it so that you can actually take time to feel into what that intuition says for you. And then it just keeps us in alignment with that more or less.
Right. Right.
And it's like, all right, we still on track here. Oh yeah, that one just got done, It's like, all right, we good, But then
Yeah.
I find, before I used to do stuff like that, it would be like, I thought that, this is what this year
Right.
was going to be about. And then it would be hard because it'd be like, oh, well, it didn't end up and I didn't accomplish anything. But it's like, no,
Right.
you got exactly what you wanted. Like, it's just
Yeah.
right there. So
Right.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then, yeah. And then your life since then, obviously, you just continue to take those actions and keep being
Yeah.
a
So,
badass and
I mean, with my
got back into the
diagnosis,
military, back in the Air
yeah,
Force now.
I am. With my diagnosis, they again like blocking out what the stats say and what what it's supposed to be. Because for the first year, it was like every 3 months scanning because they're just sure it's going to come back. And then after that first year, then it's, every 6 months and every year. And every time I don't think about it in between the scans. Like I know people that get consumed, like that's all they would think about. And I put a retreat on my calendar every year. And I'm like, that's why I'm going to dive into like the woe is me and give myself that little bit of time to like think about the fear and then every other moment when it creeps up, it's that therapy, that technique where it's like, nope, I'm going to think about that at noon today. Or, I allow myself to go, nope, I'm going on my treat in April. I'm not going to think about that till April. And then I'm just going to live my life like this has never even existed, day to day in between. I'm going to get back to being strong. I'm going to get back to working out. I'm going to start from, scratch and rebuild. And, I think it's Tony Robbins, maybe someone, but they talk about like the only way through the pain is like more growth. And that's just kind of like I had to push through and push through and push through, even the physical and the mental. And, in that is growth. Like I'm a completely different person and stronger on the other side. And I think like embracing the weakness, embracing the muck, embracing the fact that this positive person actually had a lot of like junk underneath to like clean out. It was actually extremely healing and like growing. And I'm one of 9 kids. So all my siblings would come and visit me when I was going through treatment. And my one brother, I'll never forget, like, cause they signed up like once a month, one of them would come out and he was kind of towards the tail end. So he got to see me in all my like bold, completely different glory. And we were sitting out by the fire pit late one night and he was like, you know what, Mo? He's like, I know you think that you look like sick and different and weak. He was like, but I've never seen you look more strong and beautiful. He was like, you are fully embracing like everything, like willing to change your life and just go for it. And you're embracing it and you're embracing being weak and you're embracing people help you and you're embracing all these different sides that you think are weakness. But to me, man, you are really showing your strength through all of this. And that just like, man, like hit me in my feels. I was like,
yeah, what an amazing reflection back. And another, something my clients deal with a lot is like they get, everyone's saying they're great and you're amazing and what you should, and it's just like, but if your mindset says I'm weak and I'm sucking at this, but just one person saying that can flip the script to wake out of that story and start a new one. So thank you so much for sharing your story. It's amazing. Congratulations. You're freaking awesome. I'm sure it's changing a lot of people's lives listening to this who are dealing with that or having other people in their lives dealing with that. Any final things that you would want to say to anyone who is inspired by your story?
Yeah, I think one, you don't have to accept the cards that you're dealt. You just have to play the heck out of them, right?
Ooh,
like figure out how to play the cards, right?
That might be my favorite thing anyone has ever said at the end of that is awesome. You don't need to accept the hand of cards. You just need to play the crap out of the hand you're dealt. That's so fun.
Right. And I think that's kind of how I had to just, go, okay, this is it. I'm just going to play the heck out of this. Like, do I wish that I a full house? Absolutely. I have been handed a crap hand, but I'm going to play the heck out of it. I'm going to put on my poker face and I'm going to win. And that's just how I saw it. Like I had to drudge through it. But on the other end, my life, if I would have looked that sick girl in the face and told her her life now, she wouldn't even believe it. She's journaled it every single night, but now I'm like living it. Like I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm still here, I'm alive. I got my 5-year tattoo on me. I mean, I'm here doing it. So I think that's it. Like, just don't give up. Play those cards. Don't fold them. Just play them. Right?
Oh my God. On that note, that's amazing. Go play those damn cards and play them well. Yeah. Right from the mouth of Mo, the most amazing leader in the world. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. And anybody ready to start living your life and get past anything in your way, you know what to do. Yeah. And Mo, thanks again for being here. Play those cards.
Thank you.
Bye. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.